Hi, my name is Julia. My background is in peace building and conflict transformation. And I've actually recently founded my own consultancy company because I really want to focus gender transformative practices into my work. And with that, it's a real pleasure and honor to be part of this conversation now with you, Ksenia and Seymour. And we are going to talk more about the situation of queer folks in Ukraine, and especially in the context of course, the Russian full-scale invasion. So welcome to you, and I'm going to start with you, Ksenia. You started out as a grassroots activist, but are now working with Kyiv Pride. Can you tell us a little bit about how the situation is, how we need to envision it, especially for queer communities in Ukraine, and also then what Kyiv Pride's work is in that regard?
Yeah, sure. My name is Ksenia, as Julia said. I work in Kyiv Pride organization. I'm an SMM specialist. Our main mission is to eradicate homophobia in Ukrainian society and also to unify queer community. We also held the biggest Pride in Ukraine. For example, the year before the full-scale invasion started, it was 10,000 people. And now we can't hold any big events because of the risk of terrorist attacks, and we can't hold obviously the marches in Ukraine. Constant air alarms not helping also with big events like this, because you don't know where and when you will need to find a shelter and to hide. And it also messes with your head, because I hear air alarms even here. Like, I need to constantly remind myself that it's safe here, there is no war here, it's just my brain messes with me. So yeah, mental health is a big issue, and Kyiv Pride also working on this one. We have 3 sessions for the queer community, and we also have a group therapy. And it's a big deal because in Ukraine there are some problems with this. Some psychiatrists and psychologists have their clients plan, like list of clients plan ahead for 6 months or even more. So yeah, it's a big deal. We also have a shelter where people from different cities and even people from Kyiv, but if they have like homophobic parents or something like this, can live for some time. And we believe that we should not only create a space for them to live, but also help them to reintegrate into society. So we have this program where we teach them how to be barista or makeup artists or masseuse or something like that. So yeah, this is the main goals of Kyiv Pride right now.
Thank you. There are so many topics already that I want to dive into, but I want to ask you, Seymour, first. Would you introduce yourself a bit and what you're doing?
Yeah, hi, I'm Seymour. I'm primarily artist. I live in Kyiv as well, and I volunteer with Inside Queer organization. There mostly my focus is on community workshops. I do sketching workshops, actually dancing classes, so work within the community, so we are not going crazy because of all of this. Inside also they have a humanitarian hub. They distribute some necessary stuff, including hormones, to the people in the regions, or just people who can't afford it at the moment. From the start of the full-scale invasion, it's been a large part of their work. I think that's it at the moment.
And you're also an artist, aren't you?
Yeah.
And you're part of the current exhibition that is in Alcatraz Gallery.
Yeah, if you have time, then go visit. Naturally, from the start of invasion, my work's been focused quite a lot on war. Actually, honestly, for me, from the very beginning, from 24th February, doing art, doing painting was a way to cope with the emotions, with what I'm going through. It's a bit weird to phrase it like that, but kind of thanks to the war, I really grew into myself as an artist because, in the midday of February 24th, I just sat down and started to paint, and after that, I have no more questions whether I'm a true artist, whether it's something I should do. I know that as an artist, I can speak. I can speak both about the war, but also about queer experience and queer war experience, because obviously by visual means it's often quite easier to convey emotion which otherwise might be lost. Art in any case, it connects with people on the emotional level, and I think I can bring quite a lot of value just this way.
Yeah, and that really resonates with me as well, because as I was listening to you, I was reminded, and I'm just paraphrasing now, but there's this quote out that when you plant a tree or when you plant a garden, you are actually planting for the future. And as I was listening actually to both of you and what Kyiv Pride is also doing, it very much sounds like you're planting seeds already for the future, far beyond the invasion or the occupation, but really for a life that will hopefully be very different for queer folks in the Ukraine. And one thing that particularly stood out for me was when you talked about unifying the queer communities in Kyiv, in Ukraine. Can you speak a little bit more about how maybe that was also shaped or shifted throughout the invasion and the experiences of the last 1.5 years?
Well, solidarity in the community is huge right now. Not even in the community, even outside the community, amongst Ukrainian people. For example, after Russia blew up the Kakhovka gas, a lot of people were from all the regions of Ukraine were driving to help. Someone were rescuing and helping animals. Someone were collecting humanitarian aids and sending to the east. And someone were hosting into their own homes people from this region. But if we're talking community of queer people, right now we have some kind of consensus. We are working towards 2 laws that are going to be accepted in the government. First one is about hate crimes, and second is about civil partnerships. And it's especially important for the queer people who are fighting in the army right now, because in the moment we don't have same-sex marriages, so their partners can't join their spouses in medical facilities if in case of injury. They can decide what to do with the body in case of death. Then they can't inherit something, so it's a big step forward for the people in the army. But it also helps civil people too, because it's not a same-sex marriage, but it's at least a step in the right direction. So we are signing the petitions, we are writing letters to the government, we trying to advertise these laws as much as we can to make them be accepted in the government.
Thank you. And I saw, Seymour, you were nodding a lot. Is there anything you'd like to add?
I don't know, maybe it's just a little fun fact that I can say about artistic queer community. Also after Kakhovka was blown up by Russians, we were doing quite a lot of charity painting, charity sketches. It's quite quite a common thing. I think it's a small way to help, but it's a way to help. And I agree that queer communities are quite unified right now, and during the full-scale invasion, for example, finally the Istanbul Convention was accepted by the government, introduced. We fought for years for it to happen, so there are some perks. I don't want to say it like that, but we can really hope to emerge a better country from this war. There are some people that think that, for example, queer rights are not not on the agenda. We have this phrase "linocuts," not on the time. But actually it's the opposite. What Ksenia said about especially military queer people is very true, and we have to while we have the possibility, when we can work in our civil life, while we can travel, we have to do whatever we can to make their lives better while they are fighting for us. So I think it's our responsibility as a community to do this kind of stuff now.
And Ksenia, you've also said a bit around international solidarity and internal solidarity. And so I'm wondering if you could speak to that a little bit, like if we start internal solidarity beyond the queer community in itself, who else do you see now that is in solidarity with you, especially when we then hear that new laws are being introduced or the Istanbul Convention is being ratified? Have you seen a shift in public support, or how do we imagine it?
Yeah, actually, international solidarity is also huge right now. We receive help from all over the world, and we're especially grateful for the partners who are asking us what we need instead of dictating to us what they think we need. And also to the partners who are flexible in funding, for example, because in the war conditions we not always have the possibility, the resources to fill up a lot of documents or to create some copies or scans of documents. For example, we have a case with Kharkiv organization Sphere. They were supposed to gain some heaters, some blankets for the winter because, as Seymour said, we don't have electricity sometimes, and it was a cold winter, so they were supposed to gain the things from the loan foundation, but the bureaucratic process took so long that they sent them already in spring. So it's awesome when people can understand our situation and play around it.
Yeah, and what I'm hearing from you is really also the call for accountability for ourselves. On the one hand, looking at our governments and demanding accountability from them and responsibility, but also for ourselves and for our own lives, and to engage also in more nuanced conversations, because it's not binary as we know as queer folks. It's also not binary in Europe or with different refugees, with different colors of our skin, etc., etc. And coming from human rights activism around self-determination a lot as well, I'm really reminded about all the international solidarity movements with Palestine, with Timor-Leste, for example, and many, many other countries who have been occupied or who are occupied, and how important international solidarity there also is. And international solidarity, and I want to say this very clearly, international solidarity that goes beyond projects, beyond humanitarian funding of 3 to 6 months or 2 to 3 years, but really partnerships that are merged and evolve over decades of time. And as much as I hope that Ukraine won't take a decade, I do hope that the partnerships and the solidarities that you create and that we create will help us and will stay with us for many, many years and decades to come. And in coming a bit to a close, I'm also wondering, on the one hand, well, first of all, let me ask you, is there anything that you'd like to say or anything that you'd like me to ask you that I haven't asked you yet?
I would like to add to what Seymour just said and about helping Ukraine, that the best way to help queer folks in Ukraine is to help Ukrainian army, as pretentious as it might sound, because if Ukraine stops to fight, we won't have queer folks to protect anymore. There will be no one. There will be no Ukraine, and this is the war not only for resources. It's a war of world views, from patriarchal homophobic country to the progressive countries that are trying their best to be queer friendly and feminist and everything like this. So if this against your beliefs, political or religious or whatever, if supporting the armies against your beliefs, you should support then some queer organizations in Ukraine. And also spread information. It's really, really important, but from reliable sources, please. And hear Ukrainian voices. Yeah, I agree with that.
Yeah, I really liked how you phrase it. Just people. I would like for people to try to engage in more nuanced conversation where Ukrainians are actually there. Just I understand that it's hard to people are tiring of wars. Yeah, that it's hard to be engaged all the time. But unfortunately, we don't have the luxury of not being engaged all the time. So yeah, at least. Don't spread disinformation. Yeah, that's the bare minimum you can do. And try to ask Ukrainians, try to talk to them, try to listen to them.
I'm wondering who are reliable sources and Ukrainian voices that you would recommend that where we can learn and unlearn as well.
Off the top of my head, Hrmatska has English speaking and German speaking, I believe, social media, and they translate quite a lot of the news of the articles. Honestly, in the last couple of years, I think a lot of Ukrainian mass media actually do the effort of speaking to the foreign auditories. So it would be preferable huge no to all Russian media, even Medusa and all the liberal media that try to cover the war in more objective way. But I also would like to say to be more skeptical about especially US right wing mass media.
First з'являються там.
Appear there, yeah.
Appear there.
First-hand information, basically.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you, and I really hope that you and that many of us, or all of us, can emerge from a place where it goes far beyond surviving and resisting, but like you say, you're already planting the seeds for a future, and a future where hopefully all of us can thrive.
Thank you for listening.
Thank you.